We're all told there's this one golden rule for success, right? Specialize, go deep, and whatever you do, start early. But what if that laser focus we've been sold is actually a trap? What if the real advantage comes from a path that looks a whole lot messier? Ah, this number, 10,000. You've heard of it, right? It's the famous rule that says if you want to be great at something, you need to put in 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. The message here is pretty clear. Pick your lane early and do not swerve. And who's the poster child for this? Well, of course, it's Tiger Woods. His dad literally gave him a putter when he was just 7 months old, and by 21, he was the best golfer on the planet. I mean, it's the perfect story of early specialization. And it's not just Tiger either. Think about the Polgar sisters. Their father decided basically from birth that his daughters were going to be chess champions. And through this super intense, super early training, two of them became grandmasters. So the 10,000-hour rule? It seems kind of undeniable, doesn't it? But here's where the story takes a turn. Because if this Head Start model is the absolute key to success, then you'd expect all elite performers to look just like Tiger. But, well, they don't. Not even close. So is this really the only way to the top? Well, when researchers actually started tracking elite athletes, they found something that pretty much flips the whole Tiger story on its head. It turns out most top performers don't specialize early. Instead, they go through what scientists call a sampling period. And this brings us to another sports legend, Roger Federer. See, while Tiger was busy with his 10,000 hours on the driving range, Roger was playing, well, everything. His own mother was a tennis coach, and she actually refused to train him because he wouldn't hit the ball back normally. He was playing soccer, badminton, wrestling, you name it. He sampled a ton of sports, built up this broad base of athletic skills, and then he specialized. We can call this the Roger path. And this isn't just a sports thing, by the way. It's in music, too. Studies have shown that the most exceptional musicians, they often only get serious with their deliberate practice on their third instrument. Even a prodigy like Yo-Yo Ma sampled other instruments before he finally committed to the cello. Okay, so what's going on here? How can two totally opposite paths, Tigers and Rogers, both lead to greatness? Well, it's not that one is right and the other is wrong. The secret is that they are built for two completely different kinds of worlds. This is the whole idea of kind versus wicked learning environments. A kind learning environment is a world like chess or golf. The rules are crystal clear and they never, ever change. The goal is perfectly defined. You hit the ball, you move a piece, and you get instant, accurate feedback on how you did. In worlds like these, yeah, the 10,000-hour rule works like a charm. But then you've got wicked learning environments. This is where the rules of the game might change halfway through. The goals aren't always so clear. And the feedback you get, well, it might be late, it might be wrong, or you might not get any at all. Which one of those sounds more like the world we all actually live in? So this is the really big question, right? If our world is becoming more and more wicked, and that hyper-specialized tiger path isn't some universal magic bullet, then what is? What does it actually take to succeed when the game keeps changing? It seems the answer is something called range. On the surface, it can look like you're just wandering, zigzagging, maybe even falling behind. But let's take a look at some of the most groundbreaking innovators in history. You'll see their paths were anything but a straight line. I mean, check out Vincent van Gogh. Before he ever got serious about painting, the guy had 5 different careers. He was an art dealer, a teacher, a bookstore clerk. He even tried to become a pastor. He kind of failed at all of them before finally, in his late 20s, deciding, you know what? I'm going to learn to draw. Or how about Claude Shannon? He was an electrical engineer, but he took a philosophy class just to check a box for his degree. In that class, he learned about this old logic system where you could code statements as either 1 or 0. And he's the one who made the connection between that idea and electrical circuits. And in doing so, he basically invented binary code, the foundation of every single computer, phone, and tablet we use today. Okay, this next story is a perfect example of the power of having an outsider's view. Gunpei Yokoi. He didn't do so great on his electronics exams, so he ended up with a job just maintaining machines at a small local playing card company. You may have heard of it, Nintendo. Yokoi's genius was what he called lateral thinking. He took existing, kind of boring tech from the calculator industry, mashed it up with some well-known tech from the credit card industry, and used them to create handheld games. He turned that little card company into a global giant, and his masterpiece, of course, was the Game Boy. He just connected dots that nobody else even saw.
So what does this all mean for us? Well, the physicist Freeman Dyson came up with this just perfect metaphor to help us understand why we need both kinds of people, both kinds of paths. He said for any healthy system to work, you need both birds and frogs.
So the frogs are the specialists. They're down in the mud, and they see all the tiny, super granular details of their one little patch. The birds, on the other hand, are the generalists. They're soaring high above it all. Now, they don't see those tiny details, but they see the big picture. They see how all the different ponds and fields connect to each other. They're the ones who integrate all the knowledge from the frogs. And this is where Dyson just hits the nail on the head. We absolutely need both. Any healthy ecosystem needs the deep divers and the broad connectors. The problem, he said, is that our culture, our schools, our career paths, we're telling everyone they have to be a frog. So here's the big takeaway. In a predictable, kind world, yeah, the tiger path of specializing early is super effective. But in a wicked, unpredictable world like ours, we desperately need people who take the Roger path too. We need the generalists, the connectors, the people with range who can solve the complex problems that the specialists are just too deep in the mud to even see. So it leaves us with a pretty important question for our own lives, right? In a world that's only getting more complex and more wicked, are you training to be a deep-diving frog or are you training to be a high-flying bird? The answer just might define your future.